Hey, welcome to Fridays 5. This is Suzanne Caldeira. I'm with Guaranteed Rate. I'm a mortgage originator. My Fridays 5 is my views and the views of my guests, not necessarily those of Guaranteed Rate. And what I do is I reach out to people either that I know or want to know that have inspired me. And I'm sitting with a man, or virtually sitting with a man, who totally inspires me. Domonic King of Voice of the Deep, who I met as an Uber driver when I was going to a business coaching event, and I stayed in Ohio to do what's called a site visit. Of course, I had no clue that it was going to be a 45-minute drive to the hotel. So probably for a good 20, 25 minutes, I'm like, I'm just going to stare at my phone. And then we just struck up a conversation and got a chance to talk to him and learn a little bit about what his dream was and what his passions were. I want to go to my first question in this Fridays 5. I want to know what inspires you?
What inspires me? What inspires me? Just entrepreneurship and period. And just like, since I'm older now, I look back at my childhood, like my father and my grandfather. Like my grandfather, he's an entrepreneur. He's in his 80s. He's cutting back now, but he's an exterminator. And I know he told me like he was let go from his job. He was working for a pest control service before, but they let a lot of people go. So he still had his different licenses, things like that. When they found out he was starting his own business, I don't think they were happy with that. But you got to think, this is like 40, 50 something years ago, And ever since then, he's just been grinding on his own. He hasn't had a boss, you know what I'm saying? So looking back at that, I'm like, wow, like my grandfather has been grinding all these years. My dad, he's an electrician. Even like, when we were kids, he would go out and do side jobs and just bringing just extra money and just hustling, taking care of the family. So, those individuals, I have a lot of people that inspire me. But that people that work hard and just make things happen, that's what inspires me.
And it seems like they made an impact on you. Do you think that sparked a little bit of, hey, you know what, I think I want to go out on my own, or did you ever start a business when you were younger or try anything like that?
Yeah, honestly, as a child, I would say 12, 13, and I'm not lying when I say this, I've never wanted to work for anybody. Like, I don't mind putting in the work, but I just didn't like people telling me like, you can do this or you can do that. I've always just felt like I was put on this earth to just do like big things. And I don't knock just regular jobs or anything like that. It's just like, just in my heart, I'm like, I want to do something great. I just didn't know what it was. But just growing up, like network marketing companies and things like that, me and my brother, we would get involved in different companies and stuff. Didn't work out for us. I knew people that it worked out for, but, we were just always just trying to find something different to do, in life, just to pretty much just get out of the rat race. It just took me, I'm 40 now, so it took me about 34 years to find what I love to do.
Yeah, we're
long
gonna get
time.
into that.
Better late than never.
It is, right? As long as you got 2 feet on the ground, you've got choices. Yeah.
Right.
And maybe you have had a moment or moments, which goes to my second question of, what do you think, Domonic, have been any defining moments or pivotal times in your life that you might say like, hey, sitting here now at 40, this is why X.
I went to Wilberforce University probably about a semester. And it comes back to that entrepreneur mindset. Like as a kid, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I just didn't want to work for anybody, I went to Wilberforce for about a semester and I withdrew. I was ashamed, at the time, people are like, are you going back to school? My father, are you going back to school? My mom, are you going back to school? I'm like, no, like, I didn't want to go to school and just be there. And I didn't know what the heck I want to do, and then end up with all these loans. So over that course of time, I'm trying to see, so from Wilberforce until probably about my mid-20s, when I was pushing 30s, it was just to the point where I was looking around like at my brother, he's a teacher. I have a buddy that's an attorney. Another guy of mine, a friend of mine, he has a business with sneakers and clothing and customizing furniture, doing things like that. So I started looking around at my peers And it's like, you never want to compare yourself to people, but you still, stop and examine yourself. And like the buddy that's an attorney, he used to always have like barbecues and things. So when people used to go around the room, just wasn't like people were just gloating about what they did. People would just, go around just saying what they did for their profession, thing like that. And then when it came to me, they're like, "Oh, so what do you do?" And I'm just, I just work. So it wasn't anything like glamorous. I had a job, I was blessed for, that, but it wasn't anything that I was just proud about. So just fast forward, that pivotal moment came when me and my brother were on the phone. So this was probably about 2013, 2014. We were just talking about entrepreneurship and things like that. And I was pissed because I was just tired of just the way life was. So just naming off our different peers that's doing things and that actually had tangible products. And, I just told them like, I know it's something I'm supposed to be doing. I know it's there. I just can't touch it. And I said it like twice, like, I know it's there. I just can't touch it. You can't touch your voice. You know what I'm saying? And that it hit me maybe like later on that year, it hit me, use your voice. And it's, in voiceover, you will hear that all the time. People say I have a good voice, but no, when I was from 12, 13, doing Shakespeare stuff at school or in church, things like that, I've heard this since childhood. So it's not anything that I've heard against, as I got older. This was something I just heard all my life. People having dreams about me being a pastor or preacher. I'm like, no, it's not about to be a pastor or a preacher. I can minister to people, but that's my, not my thing. But that's where that pivotal moment came when me and my brother had that conversation. And I said, I know it's there. I just can't touch it.
It gave me the chills because it feels like it spoke to you at that moment or when it finally hit you, because I almost feel like you were like, not maybe playing comparison like with your friends and stuff like that, but more like where you wanted to have something instead of just like that job, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, who have been some of the mentors in your life?
I have voiceover mentors. Roger Leopardi, Brent Allen Hagel, Dustin Rubin. This is like, as far as like voiceover, like these are like my mentors. Do we compete against each other? Yes, but we're not selfish. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys, I have other people, Gabe Kunda, Enrique Josephs, Donovan Corneets. These are guys who, some of them are in my voice range. Other ones have lighter tones, but it's like, they're not selfish. It's like we all have a story. We all can do the job, but doesn't mean that we're right for the job. You can have 3 or 4 deep voices, but it's only one that's going to fit right on the track. We've referred jobs to each other. Oh, this is for me. Let me get it to so-and-so. You don't get that really in other industries where, somebody can pretty much advance. You can give somebody a gig and somebody else hear it, and they can career can even shoot off even more than where it is and just leave you in the dust. You know what I'm saying? Just by that referral. So these guys are just, I admire these individuals because they've helped me a lot. Like as far as like my parents, one thing I can say, even though they've always wanted me to go to school when I was younger. So it's like, I'm not against school either. I love to learn. In my situation, I just didn't want to go to school and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just wanted to just be sitting there. So they never forced me to go to school. But my father's thing is just like, if you're going to be here, you're at least going to be working. So, that's what I did. It worked. And they've always supported us in what we've done. I think a lot of times parents, and I'll say it, they screw up because they want their children to do what they want them to do. You know what I'm saying? You can't force your kid. That might not be what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? So it's like my parents, they never forced me to go to school. They never said, well, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer. It was just, they wanted me to just do something with my life. That was the main thing.
Quite a list of your peers that you get to be around, and it seems like it's its own community. How have you dealt with disappointment when you're like, man, that I should have gotten this job? Like, you must have had those moments.
I've dealt with a lot of disappointment in voiceover. I mean, it's like, you got to have tough skin. I think the biggest disappointment was when I submitted to an agency. And it's like, you at the time, how it is, at the time you just don't understand. But when you get to a certain point, and I'm still growing, I still have a long way to go. I've reached a pretty high competing level, but when you look back, it's like, no, I wasn't ready. I submitted to one agency, and I think I posted I saved that letter too, because the way they responded to me, I put it on LinkedIn, covered everything up, but I put the meat of it on LinkedIn about disappointments in your career. And that was one disappointment. And they shredded me to pieces. And it hurt, you know what I'm saying? I never told nobody, but I think I told my brother. I tell him everything. But other than that, I didn't tell anybody else. I just knew I saved that email. I still have that email. And I use that email for fuel. And I would say that was probably like the biggest disappointment. And regardless of what you're doing in life, you might get rejected, but somebody else is going to want you. My buddy said, no doesn't mean no. It just means next opportunity.
That's the best way to put it. And there's the wisdom of it, because some people don't have the wisdom to understand, to reflect, and to keep going. They end up becoming, the victimhood of, oh, because of this, I can't do it. And that's like, okay, right. Forget the voiceover. I'll just go get a job. And
yeah, I mean, I didn't have, and it's like, even my thing now, and I'm just being transparent with you, my thing was, if this this has to work, because I don't have anything else. What God's blessed me with, it has, it can change my life. I look around, I'm like, I've always said, like, if this doesn't work, what else am I going to do? I mean, I've grinded, like, when I met you in that Uber, I've never asked people I've asked people for support, like as far as journey, but I've never asked people for money. If people donated to me, like my brother, those coaching classes, they're not cheap. It's like, when people believe in what you're doing, they will support. I've had people support me financially to go towards like class and things like that for some of my studio equipment. But it's like, overall, everything else, God just blessed me with the funds to be able to just finance it myself, because it's not easy. So when I met you, I was hustling to buy me an iMac. I'm not on it right now, it's over in the corner, but Macs aren't cheap. I wanted a $1,000 microphone. A lot of times these coaching classes are like, if you're working with pros that are in the industry and they know the trends, some of them can be like $200 an hour, $250 an hour. You know what I'm saying? But it's an investment. So my thing was, I just went out here, just grinded all summer, and I just got everything I needed. So one of my buddies said, Dom, you lucked up. You put the cart before the horse, but it just happened to work out in your favor, which I did. I was buying all this equipment, doing all these things, and I didn't have any coaching at the time. You know what I'm saying? But God worked it out. So
you believed in yourself, and you had that calling. Now, Are there any, whether it be books that you've read, or maybe even podcasts that you follow, or people that you follow that have inspired you?
Yeah, I just recently read a book. I forgot who made it. It's called The Go-Giver.
Yeah, I read that many years ago.
Because my brother, he the one that told me to read it. Because he had some things happen in his life as far as being more, have more empathy for people. So, yeah. My brother, so he told me about it. So I ended up reading it. And one thing it just taught me is to just put yourself in other people's shoes. It's not anything that I've perfected now. I'm still trying to, learn that discipline, but it's more so like put yourself in other people's shoes. It's like you're not eliminating your feelings. You're just trying to try to take on the other person's feelings to see how they're feeling in the situation. So in this situation, it was, long story short, a guy had a company. He had a pet food company. It was like, could have been like organic. It was a healthy pet food company. And he needed some investors. He was trying to get on a national scale. So he went to a particular company and they were very interested in him. But he built a small community of local grocers that held his products. But they told him, like, if you take this on a national scale under us, you got to get rid of those people. It was like a conflict of interest. And he it's like when it comes to business, about building the core, the foundation. You can't get rid of the people that made you who you were. So that's the struggle he was with. He knew he wanted to get in national chains, but also the person that he was speaking with, she was in a dilemma where she was trying to get a promotion to where she was at. So she was in a situation where she could have lost her job too if she didn't get this client. So you see how he needed this, she needed him as a client, but they couldn't meet head to head on, like, as far as bringing him aboard, taking him nationally and get rid of the other people. So it was like, the story is pretty crazy. I'm kind of confused thinking about it, but that was just the gist of it. But what it boils down to is I think she ended up leaving her job, ended up working with him, and they still took it to a national level.
Wow.
So they both were able to get what they wanted, without giving up anything. They both gave up something, but, they both ended up being able to work together and still take things on a national level. So it was a pretty dope book. I liked it.
I always close my Fridays 5 with, it's not really a question. It's more of a tell us about you, and maybe you can give us a little sampling of that voice of the deep, and how people can find you.
Well, I did the Pizza Hut Beyond Meat and pizza commercial.
Yeah.
So I booked that. The long story short about that is, now I'll do that read for you.
Okay.
But the long story short behind that was, I auditioned for that in October, and probably about maybe 2.5 weeks went by. And when you're in voiceover, if you're auditioning consistently and doing your own marketing and things like that, you forget about the jobs you audition for. Now, there are certain ones that you're just like, dang, I hope I get this one. But honestly, I forgot about the Pizza Hut spot. So it was a Saturday night in November, and I was just laying there watching TV, and a commercial came on. It was a Pizza Hut commercial. And it wasn't for what I auditioned for, because I knew it was for Beyond Meat. And it was, I think they have like one of those $10 pizza deals going on or something like that. So it was one of those commercials. I'm like, nobody booked that, Beyond Meat pizza yet. So I looked up, I think they have the site called like iSpot.tv or something, where you can look up commercials, see like the last usage and the airings and things like that. So when I, typed in Pizza Hut, the spot wasn't in there. I'm like, well, I guess they haven't chosen a talent yet. And this was like Saturday night. That Monday morning, my agent hit me up like, Dom, like, they want you for the spot. I'm like, so how crazy is that? Like, I just saw the Pizza Hut thing Saturday night, wondering who got it. Then Monday, lo and behold, it was me. How do you top the original pan pizza from Pizza Hut? You go beyond. A new plant-based sausage so meaty you have to taste it to believe it. I see you staring. The new Beyond Pan Pizza from Pizza Hut, here for a limited time. No one out pizzas the Hut. So that's it.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait till I see it again. Because I remember seeing that when you had posted about that, and that's been the exciting thing is watching your journey and seeing the success that you're having. And I am so grateful that you said yes, Tom. Truly appreciate it. Thank you for being on.
Oh, no problem. I wish your Bucks well wishes this weekend in the playoffs too.
Oh yeah, yay for Tommy.
Right. Thanks for having me.